Inklings, I'm Bianca and welcome back to Binks Thinks. Welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be talking about month 1 of Project Zero, what happened, what went well, what did not go well. If you are new here, I did a previous video explaining a whole introduction about Project TBR Zero, which I will link. But to summarize, I have a lot of books on my TBR. The start of January, I had 350 unread books, and I am trying to read all of the books on the shelves behind me. So that's what we're doing. So just adjusted the frame a bit so that I can fit my little tracker in over here. So what I'm going to do is basically give you like a timeline of what I read and then maybe talk about some books if I feel like I have something to say. No full book reviews though. The very first book that I read was Crooked Kingdom by Leigh Bardugo. I had been putting this off for ages, but as you can see, this is a physical book that I own. It's been on my shelf for a while. I am enjoying the series. This got 5 stars, pretty sure, 4 or 5. And I read this in December and I finished it on the 1st of January. So this is the first book that counted towards my books that I owned that I have read. So books to read went down. Next up, I received a delivery for Ruthless Vows, which is the sequel to Divine Rivals, neither of which I have read yet. So this is a new book and I'm back to where I started, essentially. After that, I read Witch Hat Atelier Volume 1, which is a digital book that I read. I do not own a physical copy of it, and that doesn't really make a difference to my total at all, but does bring up how many books I read. Then I finally finished Best Wishes, Warm Regards. I have been reading this book for a while because I was rewatching Schitt's Creek while I read this. I got this for my birthday in 2022 from my family, so they wrote in there. I absolutely loved reading this. It did take me probably like 2 years to get through it, so I watched each season and then read the corresponding chapter. Absolutely stunning, and the art in this is beautiful too. But yes, so this counts as a physical book, which means I made progress. I also read this as part of my clean out my currently reading challenge that I did on Instagram, which was kind of fun. And obviously I gave the book 5 stars because I loved it so much. After that, we have The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. This is actually my sister's book, which I did buy for her because she loves Greek mythology. But this was also a book club book, so I was happy that I managed to read a book that I've been putting off for a very, very long time. I do think I gave this 5 stars, but it didn't hit as hard as I thought it would, you know? Glad that I finally got to it, and I am hoping to read Circe at some point this year as well. The next book I finished is Heartstopper Volume 5. Again, this is one of my sister's books, but it does count to my challenge. Really enjoyed this. I love this series so much. This was a 4-star read for me, but pretty good overall. And obviously it's a graphic novel, so it doesn't take a lot of time to read. And I think I also rewatched one of the seasons on the TV show, I'm not sure, but overall pretty happy with that. I finished Magic Lessons by Alice Hoffman. I was actually listening to these books on audio, which I do recommend. The audiobooks for these are really, really good. I read the first 2 books in 2023, and then I finished the final 2 books this year, but for now we're just adding this one to my tally. Shortly after, I finished Lessons in Chemistry by Bonnie Garmis. This book made me sob. It was so good. I still need to watch the TV show. I haven't yet, but someone at work recommended this to me, and I think my mom and my sister were watching the show without me. But yeah, I'm really excited to watch the show. Highly recommend this. Women in STEM represent. So good. After that, I read Aquamarine, also by Alice Hoffman, while I was watching the movie. Actually, that was a really short book, but I do not own a physical copy of Aquamarine, so that one did not count towards the challenge. The 7th book I read in January was The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches by Sangu Mandana. This wasn't as good as I thought it was going to be. I did give it 4 stars, and it kind of gave me ballet shoes vibes. If you've watched it or read the book, you'll know what I mean. It's about witches, some orphans living in a big house. Very aesthetic though. I just wanted a little bit more from it. I'm not sure what I wanted, but yeah, did enjoy it, and it counted towards my challenge. Then I also got a delivery for Emily Wilde's Map of the Otherlands, which is a sequel. Once again, I have not read the first book of this yet, so I didn't read this one as soon as it arrived, and that does add to my new books, which affected things, obviously. They were both pre-orders, just saying. Then I read Ratus sur la route des vacances, which is a physical book that my boyfriend owns. I do not own a copy, but I read that in French, so very happy with that. I think that was one of the last really difficult books in that series. I did enjoy it though, and I rate those mostly like 4 or 5 stars because I like challenging myself, and I like seeing my growth with reading French. After that, I finished The Writing Retreat by Julia Bartz. So that one I do not own a physical copy of. That is I think I read it on ebook, yeah. And I wanted to read that because of Books and Lala and her book club, because I had never read one of the books that she picked for her book club before, and that one seemed the most up my alley. I've also been reading more books about writers, and that one is a horror, very scary, but somehow it motivated me to want to write again too. So yeah, that happened. Then I finished The Book of Magic by Alice Hoffman. So this is the final book in the Practical Magic series. Once again, really loved it. Listened to this on audio, and I finished it in like 2 weeks, so you can tell that I enjoyed it. Then I read Liefde in die Pampoene, which is an Afrikaans book, but it is my book and I do own a physical copy of it. So I'm reading those books with my boyfriend. I'm teaching him how to speak Afrikaans, which is my home language. So we read that one together, and that one does count towards my challenge. I really loved Liefde when I was little. It was one of my favorite TV shows. So yeah, that was really fun and cute. Then I finished the first book in this bind-up. This is a omnibus series. It's got 3 books inside. I'm currently on the 3rd and final book, but I finished the first one, which is called My Heart is Full Graffiti, or My Heart is Full of Graffiti. So that one counted towards the challenge, and I am really glad that I'm reading more books in Afrikaans, so that was really fun. And this was a bit of a longer book, more like young adult, so that was quite fun, and I'm still enjoying working my way through this. Then the final book that I read in January was On Writing by Stephen King. I listened to this on audio originally, so at first it was an other read book, but I'm counting it towards owned read because I did end up getting a copy of it, so did buy it, but then I read it, so I kind of need to put it there. So yes, 5 stars, absolutely loved it. And then the last thing to tally was that I got these 2 books in the mail on the 30th of January. The first book is Feel Good Productivity by Ali Abdaal. I did read this later, but it doesn't count towards this month, so this just counts as a new book currently. And then I got a copy of L'Enfant, la Taupe, le Renard et le Cheval by Charlie McKeezy, I think. So this is the French edition, because I really love this book. I think I've read it before in English, and I wanted to own a physical copy of it, but I do still want to practice my French. So I thought, because it is not a very long book, and I have read it before. It would be easy to read it in French. Improve my vocabulary. I have read a little bit of it yet, but I haven't finished it yet, so it still counts as a new book. So there we have it. I started the month with 350 unread books, and we are finishing up month 1 with 344 books. So in total I read 15 books, but only 11 of them counted towards the challenge, and it does look like I only read 6 of them because of the books that arrived. So yeah, not too bad actually. I'm glad that I did make progress, and I'm also quite chuffed with the fact that I managed to read 11 physical books, when in 2023 I think in total I only read 32 books on the shelves, and in total I read 101 books. So less than half, much less than half of the books that I read were from the shelves. So clearly that is where we had the problem. I didn't really go into February with a plan after this. I kind of just kept doing what I was doing, and I will hopefully have that video filmed and uploaded soon too, so stay tuned for that. And if you are not subscribed already, please subscribe if you would like to follow me along on this journey. If you are participating or have ever done a similar challenge, please let me know down below in the comments. If you are doing it on Instagram or YouTube, I would love to follow along. I've really been enjoying watching other people's videos to stay motivated, and I will also link some of the ones that I have enjoyed down below. And thank you so much for watching. Keep reading, Inklings. I'll see you next time. Bye. I'm missing.
Books, and then I accidentally ordered the Carrie 50th edition, which will show up in future videos.